revolution, revolution, revolution. So, let's dive into the word revolution. The part of speech is noun, and it refers to a complete change in the way something is done or thought about, often caused by a significant event or movement. In common usage, people talk about revolutions in politics, such as the American Revolution that declared independence from Britain, or social movements like the Arab Spring that aimed for democratic reforms. We also use revolution in science and technology, like the Industrial Revolution, which transformed production and economy with the introduction of new machines and manufacturing techniques. A special note is that revolution can be used as a verb too, meaning to cause someone to think or feel very differently about something. For example, the new idea revolutionized their way of thinking. In a formal speech, the politician exclaimed, "The peaceful revolution that swept across our nation in 1989 marked a significant turning point in modern history, paving the way for democratic reforms and greater freedoms." This usage is formal because it's used in a professional setting, such as a public address or official statement. In a casual conversation between two friends, one person might say, "I heard that new app is causing a revolution in how we order food, no more waiting on hold or awkward interactions with customer service." This usage is casual because it's used in everyday conversation among peers, where the tone is relaxed and informal. In an academic article, a researcher might write, "The Industrial Revolution of the 18th century was a complex phenomenon that involved not only technological advancements but also significant changes in social and economic structures." This usage is business or academic because it's used in a formal written text, such as a journal or textbook, where precision and objectivity are key. So, you're trying to learn about this big change that happens when people come together and challenge the status quo, right? A key concept in many languages is about a significant shift in power or values that affects society as a whole. The main characteristics of this idea are that it's a fundamental transformation that challenges existing norms and often leads to new systems, institutions, or ways of thinking. It's like a big wave that sweeps through a community, bringing with it fresh perspectives and opportunities for growth. Some people also call this concept a major overhaul or a significant reform. But at its core, it's about making a real difference in how things are done and creating a better future for everyone. Rigid, rigid, rigid. So, let's talk about the word rigid. As an adjective, it means being stiff or unyielding in your movement or opinion, often because you're not willing to change or adapt. In common usage, people might say that a rigid schedule is one that doesn't allow for flexibility or changes, or that someone has a rigid expression on their face, meaning they look serious and unsmiling. One special note about its usage is that rigid can sometimes be confused with the word stiff, which is more physical in nature. Think of a stiff drink or a stiff breeze. But while something can be physically stiff, it's usually only described as rigid when there's an underlying attitude or opinion involved. In a formal setting, such as a job interview, you might use the word rigid to describe a management structure that is too inflexible. Our previous company culture was very rigid in its approach to innovation, which stifled our ability to think outside the box. This example sentence shows how rigid can be used to convey a sense of strictness or lack of flexibility. In casual conversation with a friend, You might use rigid to describe a particularly uncomfortable chair. I tried to take a nap on this couch, but the cushions were so rigid I couldn't get comfortable. This example sentence highlights how rigid can be used in everyday talk to describe something that is unyielding or inflexible. In a business or academic setting, you might use rigid to describe a set of assumptions or theories that are no longer tenable. The new data has shown that our previous model was too rigid and didn't account for the complexities we've since discovered. This example sentence demonstrates how rigid can be used in more formal discourse to convey a sense of inflexibility or inability to adapt. So, when we talk about something being rigid, we're describing its physical state. It can't be easily bent or changed shape without breaking or being damaged. Imagine holding a stick that's stiff and straight. You try to bend it but it doesn't move much. Right? That's what we mean by rigid. It's like a strong, firm material that keeps its original shape. In everyday life, things like metal rods, wooden beams, or even some types of plastic can be considered rigid because they maintain their structure when applied with force. Some people also use words like inflexible or unyielding to describe something in a similar way. Root, root, root. So, let's talk about the word root. The part of speech is noun, which means it can represent a person, place, thing, or idea. In common usage, we use route to refer to a path or course that one takes from one point to another, often in a journey by car, bus, train, or other modes of transportation. We might say something like, the route from the airport to my hotel took about 30 minutes. But did you know that route can also be used as a verb? That's right. When we use it as a verb, it means to send or direct someone or something on a particular path or course. Like in the phrase, I will route this package to the West Coast tomorrow. And here's an interesting note. When we talk about a route that is planned or chosen for someone or something, we often use the word with a preposition, like on, over, or through, as in, the driver took us on a scenic route through the mountains. Here are 3 example sentences using the word route. When planning our summer vacation to Europe, we had to decide on the best route that would take us to all the major cities in just 2 weeks. In this formal usage, the sentence is from a travel brochure and provides context for potential tourists who want to know how to optimize their trip. So, I took the shortcut through the park to get home quickly. But next time I'll stick to the main route, it's way more crowded there. This casual conversation usage shows how the word route can be used in everyday talk, highlighting a choice between 2 possible paths. The new logistics company has implemented an optimized delivery route that reduces fuel consumption by 25% and decreases delivery times significantly, resulting in substantial cost savings. In this business or academic usage, the sentence is from a case study on supply chain management and demonstrates how the concept of route can be applied to operational efficiency. So you want to know about that thing we take to get from one place to another? It's basically a plan or path that shows how to get from point A to point B, often with specific instructions on which way to go and what stops to make along the way. Imagine drawing a line on a map, step by step, that leads you exactly where you want to be. That's kind of like it. It helps people who don't know an area or need to get somewhere quickly to navigate their way through unfamiliar territory.